I don't think Puff was ever charged with shooting her.
Okay.
If I remember, Puff got acquitted. Yeah, he got acquitted because I was at the trial.
Right.
I think there was some girl suing him recently. I read some girl with red hair.
Right, she was Cassie's friend.
Cassie's friend or
She's
something.
suing him, actually suing him
She's
now.
suing him, and then this woman, Natasha Rubin, who's got some podcast or some
She's coming out.
documentary or something about her being shot at the club, the New York club.
Right.
I was there at the time.
Right.
And I had that case. That was my case. Part of it. I wasn't the detective assigned to it. I was the detective that had to work with the detectives that had that case.
Right. Let's talk about that because she says she clearly said that she's saying now, and she states she said it back then that Puffy shot her. That there was guns in Shyne and Puffy's hands. When you hear her say that, what do you think?
Well, from what I remember, Shyne had a gun, and he was caught and he was arrested. Puff had a gun. I'm not so sure about that at the time because my thing was if Puff had a gun, so many people would have come forward and said, yeah, Puffy had a gun. Who doesn't know who Puffy is? Everybody knows who Puffy is. That's number two. I'm not saying that she was wrong because she was the one that was injured. She was the one that was shot. But people gave conflicting statements back then from what I remember.
I see.
I think they said that she might have got hit with maybe glass or maybe with something else. But again, I wasn't the case detective that took her interviews.
Right.
I was there, but there was a detective that had the actual case that took the actual interviews of whatever witnesses that he could find or came forward. Like I said, Shyne went to jail. Shyne did 10 years, I think.
Right. Yeah,
And now he's like what, the mayor of Belize, or he's like the prime minister's son? I don't know. He's big in Belize now. So
at one point he was Jewish.
yeah, it worked out good for him. He's running Belize. But as far as there was a bunch of things that went on in that case, I remember Jennifer Lopez. I remember when I had unhooked her from the cage because she was in the cage. They hooked her up too. She was pissed. and I remember the cop saying, "Hey man, why are you over here?" And I said, "Time out, buddy. This is way below your pay grade. Is not even in this area. Get out of here. Beat it." Not like that, but I told them like I'll be handling this. Go away. And it really wasn't my case to begin all the way. It was going to be the DA's office and the detectives in the Midtown South precinct. They were going to handle it because we had to bring everything back to Midtown South because that was the precinct of occurrence. And we were in Midtown North. So everything goes in jurisdictional lines,
Is J-Lo just as pretty in person? Or?
No, she's a very attractive woman. Listen, she's with Ben Affleck now. She's doing very well.
Yeah.
She's always, you see her now, she's got a new album out. She still looks great at her age, so.
You listen to the album? Or no?
I mean, I listen to some of the things, but I listen to everything. So
Right.
I watch and listen to everything, but she's doing well. And I think, that was a part of her life that happened, and
Right.
she's past that, and she's moved on.
So from what you're telling me, you've heard that she was never hit by a bullet. She was hit by glass.
From what I remember, there was some talk about glass fragments that might have hit her eye or near her, or her vision was.
Yeah.
I can't tell you for sure because I didn't take the statement from the detective, but I remember listening to the witnesses that talked, and I said, well, everybody knows Puff. If Puff walked in the club where he had a gun on him, more people would have came forward and said, yeah, Puff had a gun. But I think at the time it might have been 3 people or maybe 4. I'm just going back from what I remember. But I do remember that case because I had to, Puffy saw me and he said, Derek, man, I got to talk to you. And I was like, Puff, come on, man, again. We're back here again, and the detective's like, Derek, we're not giving him any special treatment this time. And I was like, okay, man, relax. Because, I had to tell the detectives, relax. He still is a figure in the industry. Let's just relax with this. And I got to remember one thing about this case. I'll tell you one thing. I never seen so many reporters. There was just the news people. There were over 300 people from all over. But that was because J-Lo was involved.
Right.
There was 300 reporters outside. I never forget when I left the precinct and going in, and the guy's like, Derek, I remember when I walked into Midtown North, and all the lawyers applauded me. And they said, finally, somebody with brains is here. You know, and I was like, listen, guys, you can't be saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to insult people. And the chief was like, well, Derek, you're in charge. And I'm like, no, chief, you're the chief. I'm just here. He said, no, the police commissioner sent you here. So you're running the show until otherwise. I'm told otherwise. But it wasn't up to me. It was up to the district attorney's office. They were the ones that were running the show because they had to prosecute the case, you know?
Right. Natanya says still has bullet fragments in her face.
I mean, that's something that the doctors would know, or surgeons, or
Yeah, I believe the surgeon had testified.
yeah, if the surgeon testified. But I don't think Puff was ever charged with shooting her.
Okay.
If I remember, Puff got acquitted. Yeah, he got acquitted because I was at the trial.
Right.
Puff was acquitted because I remember being at the trial because the police commissioner wanted me to be there in the courtroom because if there was any community unrest, I would be able to notify him first. Like if Puff got acquitted or if he got convicted, they wanted to be prepared, you know, in the streets, that there wasn't an outrage of people in the streets, you know, causing problems.
They were worried about a riot.
Riot and things like that, yeah. So that's why I was in the courthouse that time for that.
Right. I mean, because the world was definitely different back then. Because there's not much, wasn't social media. There wasn't like a lot of video.
No, it wasn't back then. And then, you know, like I said, I remember he got acquitted. So.
But when you said that he came over and spoke to you, hey Derek, did you remember the conversation? What he wanted, or?
No, he was just, you know, he and I had small talk. I said, Puff, come on, bro. Like, what's going on with you? He's like, yo, man, Derek, I ain't got nothing to do with this, man. You know, he's telling me, I said, Puff, just relax, man, because the detective's like, we're not giving them no special treatment. And I said, guys, let me handle this. You know, like everybody needs to calm down.
Right.
You know, like let me just handle this and let's see what we could do here and how we can do this so it's the right way. Because remember, these guys had high power attorneys. Even J-Lo. They had the Ben Brafmans and the Eddie Hayes and Larry Ruggiero. They had big attorneys.
Right.
So they weren't fooling around with these
Puff
cases.
had Johnny Cochran.
Johnny Cochran came later on, but they had high power attorneys, you know. So you got to be really cool with these cases. I was like, listen, you can't really question them. You got to wait till the attorneys come. And that's when the DA's office came. And they sort of sit down with the district attorney over these cases because it wasn't going to be with me, it was going to be with them.
Right. So when that officer said there was no special treatment, I'm guessing Puff received some special treatment?
No. It's just that, you know, like listen, it's like J-Lo. When I took her down from the car, she was handcuffed and I took the cuffs off her, treated her like a person.
Right.
She is a figure in our community. She's an actress and she's a high profile person. So rather than put her in a cell, we put her in an office, to sit in an office with a cop watching her, right? So it wasn't like the only thing we didn't do was put her in the cage where you put real perpetrators in the cage. Right. And plus she was there and it wasn't like she had anything really to do with that. She just happened to be there. I think somebody said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is mentioned too, that J-Lo was holding guns for him. And I said, where do people get all this stuff from? Like, why would you walk into a place with a gun? Mm-hmm. Now, I never heard that either. Could it have been done? Possibly, but I doubt it. But like again, she wasn't really involved in this. So putting her in the office and treating her like a normal human being was okay. She wasn't going to go anywhere. Right. Because the DA's office had to be the ones to say, okay, let her go. Mm-hmm. And they did. But I think at the time, J-Lo said she was going to testify and she didn't. Mm. And after that, her lawyer got her out and then she said to the office like that to the DA's office, I'm not getting involved in this shit. I'm out of here. Exactly. And she was gone. I think her mother was a little upset, you know, right. about the whole situation because I think she was yelling at J-Lo at the time. But somebody said it, one of the detectives joked, were you the one that got her nail polish? And I was like, no. Like, you know, this is one of these guys, a wise guy, you know?
After it was all said and done, I believe Puff gave you like a champagne bottle or something?
That was a wine bottle. That was like years ago. I might even still have that thing around here somewhere.
I think, did he sign it?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Just so you know, it wasn't like I could accept gratuities because I couldn't. Right. And it wasn't given to me, it was just dropped off and left there. So I just kept the bottle as a memento, as you would say. Nothing that, he never asked me to do anything for him or anything like that. So I don't want people to think that a bottle of wine is going to make me go and do X, Y, and Z. No. He didn't do that.
He ever invite you to one of them parties?
No. As a matter of fact, when I retired though, and I opened my security company, I did do a party with him, where we had a party with him for Puffy was very tight about his parties. When you used to go to a Puff party, Puff wanted everybody dressed up. If you weren't dressed up, you were not getting in. As a matter of fact, my partner Glenn and my partner AJ were almost going to go to blows over it.